Always listen to the dog.
If something feels off, it is. If you feel like you're being watched, you are.
Shut your doors, close your curtains, don't listen to the voices.
Put salt on the doors and windows, and please be safe.
This shit is real.
Welcome to Baba Yaga's Crypt. We're your hosts, Olga
And Veronica.
And we're here to unravel myths, legends, paranormal encounters, and mysteries that defy explanation.
All the while creating art inspired by the current topic.
So light a candle, grab a pencil, and prepare to be bewitched. You just stepped into Baba Yaga's Crypt. If you're interested in this type of content, make sure to subscribe to our channel. In this episode, we're diving into the unsettling idea of the mimics. Creatures that don't just hide in the shadows, but walk among us.
Ooh.
What exactly is a mimic, you might ask? A mimic is a creature from folklore or mythology that can mimic human speech or take on the appearance of a human or another living being to mislead others. These entities appear in many cultures. Mimics are characterized by their deliberate attempt to imitate others, usually for harmful reasons. Sometimes they can even take the form of someone the victim knows to earn their trust and then hunt them. They're said to target people who are alone or vulnerable, but what they actually are varies depending on belief. Some consider them spirits or ghosts, others think they're demons, and some see them as something else entirely. In many accounts, they closely resemble their chosen target, although the disguise is not always flawless. Subtle irregularities in behavior, speech, or physical traits can reveal their true nature. So, can mimics harm humans physically? In theory, a mimic could be dangerous based on folklore. The stories often describe them causing harm indirectly, like luring people into unsafe situations, isolating them, or unsettling them through deception. Just confusing the shit out of you.
Makes me think of a dream, like a dream version of the person that you know. It's not exactly as they look in real
like when you're
life.
dreaming about it.
Yeah, I literally had a dream that my boyfriend was a doppelganger, and it freaked me out so much because
after reading all the stories.
Yeah.
Most accounts suggest mimics don't attack outright, but instead create fear, confusion, or paranoia. Some believe they can drain energy or even cause physical harm if someone follows them, though that's considered rare. Others think mimics don't fully understand humans and don't intend harm. They may just frighten people unintentionally.
They're just trying to fit in.
Yeah, I doubt that. I feel like the whole mimic idea is almost like natural predator kind of situation. I was thinking there's like a bunch of different creatures in nature that kind of mimic human voices, like crows.
Yeah, that's
Is it crows or ravens? Or both?
I don't know.
Parrots.
I think there's a lot of birds that sound like humans screaming. Like there's a type of owl that sounds like that. But also like mountain lions.
Hyenas.
Yeah, the laughter.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of animals that make noises that kind of resemble humans. I don't necessarily think they may be, like, mimicking humans intentionally. I guess if you look back at, like, evolution, technically, we all came from the same thing. I bet, like, back in the day, before we knew a lot about, like, animal world and things like that, people probably got, like, really unsettled hearing, like, an animal scream in the forest, and they thought, like, it was a person, and then they went to check and got attacked by like a lion or like a
cougar.
They heard someone scream in the woods and it was a cougar. I just imagine like an older woman that's into younger men.
It's like age of attraction.
Yeah. So is there a way to protect yourself from a mimic? So a common belief is that ignoring a mimic keeps you safe. Reacting to it or investigating the voice is often said to increase the risk, while staying calm and not engaging may cause it to lose interest and leave. They're like, y'all boring. I'm leaving.
Like a mimic just wants attention.
Yeah. Well, it does seem like they might be feeding on people's energy. Mm-hmm. So, because like I feel like I've never actually heard a story where someone got attacked by a mimic. I guess
Mhm.
maybe they just weren't around to tell it.
True.
But most stories, it's like someone hears an unsettling noise or sees something, and then that's about it. And then they get like freaked out. So the energy feeding situation, I feel like that's the most probable versus them like eating humans. But we don't know. Like,
Also-
there's not enough information out there to 100% know. It also depends on what kind of mimic, because you're going to go through a bunch of different variations from different cultures and beliefs. So there are slightly different ones out there.
It reminds me of the story that we read on the Winter Creatures episode, where the guy was camping in the woods and he heard
Yes.
his daughter's voice.
In storytelling, mimics are thought to lose their power once they're recognized. So refusing to respond signals you're not fooled by them. If you hear a familiar voice but aren't sure it's real, it's safer to verify before reacting. You can call or message the person directly. Staying aware, avoiding isolated situations, and trusting your instincts is your best bet. If something feels off, it probably is. This kind of reminds me of like scammers that call you. Like, you know that scam that like someone calls you from like your kid's number, for example, and they're like, "Mom, I'm like kidnapped," you know, something like that, where like the person is in danger.
Do they use AI for that now?
I think so.
To like copy your kid's voice. This happened to our grandma.
Really?
Yeah, someone called her pretending to be mom, and they were like,
Oh,
"I'm
I
in the
remember
hospital," but like mom wasn't even
In the country.
so grandma like knew it was fake.
She's like, "Nice try,
Yeah.
scammer."
She's like, "Go to hell."
That's fucked.
Yeah.
No, but there was like another one that I've heard about where it's like they're actually calling you from the number.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't know how they do it, but it's like, I don't know if you have to hang up and then like call the number again. I don't know, but it's really creepy. But
Yeah, they
that
like
kind of
spoof numbers.
reminded me. Maybe it's the mimics.
Maybe. They got more crafty over the years. Now they want money. They're like, we're sick of just getting like ignored. Time to
Taking your
scam
money.
these humans.
Mimics are present in many cultures. For example, in German folklore, a doppelgänger is a supernatural double of a living individual. The word doppelgänger literally means double goer. A doppelganger is essentially an evil twin. It is typically regarded as a bad omen, with sightings of one's own double often believed to foretell death or misfortune. Unlike some mimics, doppelgangers do not always interact directly with others. Instead, they may quietly shadow or appear to the person they resemble. In certain stories, they fully take over the individual's identity, leading to confusion and disorder. Some people think it may be a ghost or spirit of some sort, and others think it's actually a creature with flesh and blood. Little is known about doppelgangers, and zero is known about their original form, as they immediately mimic the first person they see. According to some sources, doppelgangers have no reflection or shadow, making it possible to distinguish between them and humans. This theory supports them being a spirit of some sort. It's like a vampire, kind of.
Yeah.
They may have some amount of psychic abilities. They can put thoughts in people's heads based on certain stories. While there are various ways to explain the phenomenon, some researchers suggest that because human genetics has limits, there may be around 10 individuals in the world who closely resemble any given person. Based on the current global population of about 8 billion, it is also estimated that roughly 10% of people will encounter at least one of their lookalikes at some point in their lifetime. Remember that picture I found of like a girl that kind of looked like me, but she had blonde hair? And I had dark hair in high school.
I remember that. I remember finding a picture that looked like me.
It's also
This
weird
girl
because
with a cat, and I didn't have a cat at the time. I was jealous.
But like that picture that I found of the girl that looked like me, I feel like all the other pictures didn't look like me as much. But like that specific like angle just kind of looked similar. But I showed it to a bunch of people and they were like, "Oh my god, it does look like you."
Well, you look like her even more now because you have blonde hair.
Yeah. I feel like that was what convinced me to dye my hair blonde.
Like, I look
maybe
good.
I do look good with blonde hair. So the next mimic on our list is a Skinwalker. The Skinwalker originates from the traditional beliefs of some Native American groups, especially the Navajo, where it is known as Yi Nal Lushi. It is described as a witch capable of transforming into animals, or in some accounts, humans. These beings are strongly associated with harmful magic, and are widely feared for their ability to deceive, imitate, and cause harm. Skinwalkers are often associated with animals like coyotes, wolves, foxes, eagles, owls, or crows. So pretty much predators. Though they are said to be capable of transforming into any animal depending on the abilities they require. For instance, taking the form of a bird might allow for faster travel. In animal form, they are sometimes described as appearing unusually pale or white, which helps distinguish them from ordinary animals. It is believed that direct eye contact with a skinwalker can have dangerous effects, either allowing it to enter a person's body or causing intense fear that creature can draw power from. So again, feeding on the energy. So if you stare directly into their eyes, don't they say it's like the eyes are
the window to the soul?
Yeah. So it's almost like they can see your soul through your eyes.
But those animals you listed, they all kind of are able to mimic human voices, like coyotes, owls, crows.
That's true. That reminded me like the whole white animal, because like they're not very common, right? Like
White
most animals are not white. Like sometimes they could be, but it's like a more rare genetic thing. My husband Devin was telling me one night when he came back from, I think he was working late, so when he came back, he was like having food, and he looked back and saw this like giant like white dog standing in the backyard, the door that leads to the backyard.
Oh, what the hell, really?
Yeah, and it was like staring at him. And he was like, what the fuck? And like, I don't know if our gate was open and like a random dog ran in, but it was like literally like 2 a.m. or something like that. It was
That's
like late
so
at night.
creepy.
Yeah.
I feel like you told me this, but I forgot about it.
Yeah, it was a while back. I think it was like when we first graduated from college or something. We were still living at parents' place.
Did the dog leave? What happened to the dog?
I can't remember if he like shooed it away or something, but
Like, did he open the door?
no. Why would he? Even speaking about them aloud is sometimes said to attract their attention, which I feel like we learned that about a lot of different evil spirits and
They're like, oh, you're talking about me? Let me join the conversation.
I think because all of them kind of like feed on your energy, so it's almost like you're mentioning things. I don't know, like the whole idea of like manifesting and things like that, like the power of your word is very big in metaphysical world, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people nowadays that are not spiritual think that like self-deprecating humor is so funny. I'm gonna like say that I look ugly and like stupid, but but it's like it kind of like forms your identity, the way you speak about yourself and like just your life in general. So.
I know, I'm trying to like really pay more attention to the things that I say.
And it's funny too because like mom always kind of told us this, but I just like didn't really listen. When you're just a teenager, you're just like, sure, mom.
Like always being like, oh, I'm poor, I don't have a job, like I can never get a job.
It's like you're just putting that idea in your head to be like,
like programming yourself. But also like kind of giving that message to the universe that like this is my life is shit. Even when it's not, like, I don't know.
And I feel like everyone has shitty days. I just feel like if things suck around you, you thinking that everything sucks doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you have to be delusional and be like, oh yeah, like everything's perfect.
It's like that meme with the dog where everything's on fire.
Yeah.
Like, everything's fine.
I don't know, but you kind of create your own life in a way. Like, I know that there are certain circumstances that people are born into, but I do believe that you can make your life even better or worse by the way you think about it and your attitude, Anyway, back to Skinwalkers. Because they are feared and rejected, many attempts have been made to track and kill them, though these efforts are rarely successful. Stories told of trackers following a skinwalker only to be led back to someone they know. Similar to werewolf legends, injuries sustained in animal form may appear on the person in human form, offering a possible way to identify them. Some beliefs hold that if a person correctly names a skinwalker, the individual behind it may fall ill or die within days. That's interesting to be like, you're a skinwalker! And then they're just like, shit, I'm found out.
Wait, it says that the skinwalker will die?
Yeah, like if someone is able to detect who the skinwalker is. Another method described in folklore involves killing one in animal form with a weapon treated with white ash. Skinwalkers are also said to possess abilities such as reading thoughts and mimicking any sound, whether human or animal. This sounds like so powerful, like it's really scary.
Mm-hmm.
Someone have the ability to do that type of magic where they can like read thoughts and like turn into animals. Like,
where
that's
can
crazy.
you learn this though? I just want to know. I'm curious.
They may imitate the voice of a loved one or the cry of a baby to lure people out of their homes, as they are often believed to be unable to enter a dwelling without invitation. They can sometimes be recognized by glowing, animal-like eyes, even when in human form. When transformed, they may move in stiff or unnatural ways that reveal something is wrong. It is important to distinguish skinwalkers from traditional healers or medicine people. While some healers are believed to spiritually connect with animals in a positive and sacred way, they are associated with healing, protection, and balance, unlike skinwalkers who are linked to harm, curses, and malevolent intent. So the next one on our list is changelings, which we did mention in the previous fairy episode. So we're not going to go too deep into this, but it's worth a mention. Changelings are figures from European folklore. They're believed to be replacements left behind after a human, usually a child, has been taken by fairies or other supernatural entities. The substitute might be a magically created copy designed to resemble the missing person, occasionally said to be formed from wood or other materials, or it may be another being disguised to imitate the human, which is like so freaking creepy.
It is creepy, but I mean, in other fairy tales, I think when we talked about it in the fairy episode, we mentioned that it was fairies' children that are being placed to replace the child. But that always made me feel kind of bad for the fairy children because I don't think that they're in on the plan. Like their parents just give them away.
Yeah, so I don't get it.
humans.
Like, why do fairies want to take the children, like human children, and then replace them with the fairies?
I don't know, because they want to maybe enslave them or...
Fairies are like, you will have a better life with the humans.
But yeah, and then the humans just burn the fairy child.
The fairy child, which is probably just their child that they don't like how they turned out.
Yeah, exactly. Holly Black has, like, I told you about, like, The Cruel Prince, but then there's also, like, a sequel to that trilogy, and it's about, like, a changeling. Like, she's, like, the main character. And it's from her perspective, how she's, like, placed into a family. They're trying to get her back into, like, the fairy world, and she's like, I don't like you guys. You're like evil. Yeah, because she was like she was used to like living with her parents and she thought she was human, and then like the fairies came back and they're like, you're coming with us, and she's like, oh, what the fuck.
So the next one on our list is Leshy. So Leshy is a deity of the forest in pagan Slavic mythology. Leshy protects the animals and birds in the forest. He often appears as a tall man and possesses the ability to shapeshift into many different forms. Leshy is known to misguide wanderers and abduct young children. His attitude towards humans can vary, depending on how they interact with the forest and their overall behavior. Leshy is said to possess the power to whisk away children who were mistreated by their family, especially their parents, to the ethereal realm of forest-dwelling folk. Kind of sounds like fairies.
It does, yeah.
A person who befriends a Leshy can learn the secrets of magic. Farmers and shepherds would make pacts with the Leshy to protect their crops and sheep. The Leshy has many tricks, including leading peasants astray, making them sick, or tickling them to death. He is also known to hide the axes of woodcutters. If a person gets lost in the woods when a Leshy crosses their path, you have to turn your clothes inside out and wear your shoes on the opposite feet to find your way out.
That is kind of like the fairies.
Yeah, it has a similar description. Like, it could just be like the Slavic version of the fairy lore.
Yeah, it is like a forest spirit, so it's similar to fairies.
Similar to Baba Yaga, I guess. It's neither bad or good. It kind of
reacts to how people are acting.
Yeah. Or treat the nature.
Yeah.
He's like, my main thought is to protect the forest. Like, if you are respectful towards the forest, you're friends. If you're not, I'm gonna tickle you to death.
Or take your child away.
There's another mimic that we have on our list. It's called Crocotta. So Crocotta is a mythical creature said to originate from regions such as India and Ethiopia. It is typically described as having the body of a very large dog, sometimes comparable in size to a mule, with a hyena-like head, cloven hooves, and mane similar to a horse, and a lion-like tail.
Jesus, that sounds terrifying.
Its fur can range from orange-yellow to dark brown or black, often marked with spots or stripes like those of a hyena or a tiger. Some accounts even portray it as lacking teeth, instead using powerful jaws or bone-like structure to crush prey. It doesn't even have teeth. It's just like... One of its most disturbing traits is the ability to imitate human speech. The Crocotta uses this skill to deceive and lure victims, often mimicking the voices of someone familiar or pretending to be a person in distress.
Crocotta kind of sounds like a type of food. Chicken crocotta.
It may even call out to individuals by name or include personal details to make the trap more convincing. Despite its eerie abilities, the creature is not considered supernatural in terms of strength or weakness. It can be harmed and killed using ordinary weapons.
So it's just ugly?
Yeah, pretty much, and can mimic voices. But it's good that you can just kill it with a regular weapon, just bring a gun. Okay, so we covered some of the mimics on our list. We're going to move on to the Reddit stories of real-life encounters with mimics.
So story number 1 coming from r/paranormal called Doppelgänger / mimic story. Around 15 years ago, when both of my kids were toddlers, I was putting them to bed one night and my son was adamant that he wear his favorite red race car pajamas. I happily obliged, helped him change into them, and tucked him into bed. Then I sat down at my kitchen table with a friend who had come over to chat and catch up. The way that my apartment was set up, you could see my kid's bedroom doorway from the kitchen table. My friend and I were talking for a while before we were suddenly interrupted by the sound of my son screaming. We both turned and looked at the bedroom doorway and saw my son standing there loudly crying / shrieking and wearing his green pajamas with airplanes on them. Everything inside me was screaming that this was wrong. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end and a cold shiver shot down my spine. My friend and I wordlessly stared at each other for a second. We both knew that my son couldn't change his pajamas by himself yet. We looked back at the doorway and my son was gone. We ran to the bedroom and found him tucked in bed, still sleeping peacefully in his red race car pajamas. My friend asked me if I saw him standing there in his green airplane pajamas, and I confirmed that I had. My friend freaked out and left. I slept on my kids' bedroom floor that night to make sure nothing happened to them. My friend and I still talk about it to this day. It's one of the craziest things that ever happened to me. My son, of course, doesn't remember any of it, but he loves hearing the story of how his doppelganger scared the crap out of us. LOL.
What if the kid fucked with them?
Maybe.
But I don't know if he would be able to like change that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that would be horrifying. I'd be like, I'm out of this house. Sorry, kid.
What do you think it was? Do you think it was almost like a spirit?
What if it was almost like a time loop thing?
Maybe.
Like it was her son, but from a different time. And he was confused, like he just got teleported there. He was like, what? Where am I?
Or like if it was a different timeline, like you know how you can jump versus like if it was a different universe that they like briefly saw it and then it disappeared. Like it's almost like in another universe he was wearing different pajamas and he was still awake and he was just standing there. I don't know. That sounds more plausible, I guess, than just like a ghost. And that never happened again, I guess, because she didn't mention anything.
But if it was a doppelganger, that's so scary because the fact that it's in your house. Like it can get into your house.
Well, I also heard that there's mimics that turn into furniture and they can be just like in your house hiding.
That makes me think of Beauty and the Beast.
It made me think about like Harry Potter when that guy was like a chair.
Oh yeah. Just suspicious of like everything. Like,
I
that table
know.
doesn't look right.
I saw a Reddit post where they were like talking about that, where it's like, if a mimic is inside your house, how to deal with it. And they were just like, make sure to like scan your house if anything looks off, like a lamp that's never been there before or something like that. Like it could just, I can't remember which show it was on. I feel like there was a show where
Scooby-Doo.
something like it was something like that where they're just like, wait, I don't remember this lamp over there, and it actually was like a demon or something like
I was
that.
like, oh shit, they got me.
Where did that lamp come from?
Yeah, but that's like another level of creepy because
Yeah.
it's
I feel
like
like that
inside
would...
your house and it's like hiding there.
I don't want to think about that because I'm already paranoid enough. I don't want to be suspicious of my furniture.
Yeah.
There is a comment on this post that shares a different story involving a doppelganger. And it says, I can only assume what myself and my mom encountered was a doppelganger. Before I start, my dad used to work at night. Anyways, when I was around 6 to 7, I lived in a townhouse with my mom and dad, up until my mom passed away less than a couple months later. She was pouring me some milk in the kitchen like every other night, and I was winding down for school the next day. There was nothing scary about this night. I was just waiting for my mom to pour milk and looking out into our living room in front of me. As I was turning my head, I saw my dad appear in front of a closet door in our living room. It didn't scare me at first, since I just assumed it was my dad, but looking back, I didn't hear any footsteps or other sounds as he approached. Our doors and floors creaked, and with how quiet it was, we would have heard anyone moving around. However, what was so scary about it was my dad was just standing there and staring at us from across the room. It wasn't scary at first since I still was under the impression that it was my dad, but the longer he kept standing there and staring at me, the scarier it got. He didn't move an inch, didn't blink, and the longer I kept looking at him, I noticed his eyes were too small. I picture, when you have glasses on and you move them forward and it makes your eyes really small. They were wide open, but small enough to where it looked wrong. I remember I started to blink and rub my eyes because I thought maybe I was seeing things, but it just kept standing there for a good minute longer, until after I blinked and it disappeared. No noise at all. There was no way, considering it disappeared in a blink, for it to have humanly moved that fast without making some kind of sound. The only way it could have disappeared as fast as it did was if it slammed the door shut behind it. I remember how terrified I was at that point and looking to my mom to see if she saw it too, but she didn't say anything, so I assumed I just hallucinated it for years. That was until a few years ago I was telling my dad about that night, and he told me my mom had also seen it, but due to her mental health problems and me not saying anything to her or him about it, I hadn't said anything when I looked at her, he dismissed it as a hallucination. Nothing quite like this had ever happened to me again, but that experience was the reason I couldn't sleep without a light on for years. Before that day, I was not afraid of the dark. I didn't believe in ghosts, didn't even understand people could actually die at that point, and was not really exposed to religion, and not recently either. Every night after that incident, until we moved, I was petrified to even sleep in my room. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's a similar situation to the first story, I guess, where it's like someone they know appeared in their house. So it couldn't be like a skinwalker because they have to be invited in.
That's a good point.
Some people think it's just like a phenomenon that happens. So I wonder if it is that. Could it be also like how we mentioned that? Could it be like a
jumping universes?
Yeah, like a slip in time, or just like like a glitch where the two universes exist at the same time.
The universe where his dad's eyes are smaller than...
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's always like something is off, and like in the first one, it was a different pajamas, which there wasn't anything else that was different, but he does have like another pair of pajamas that look like that, right? She said. Or could it be like an actual spirit that like imitates humans, and like why? Just to confuse people?
Just to stare at you and creep you out. Okay, moving on to story number 3. It's from r/Skinwalkers, and it's called It Fucking Spoke to Me. I'm not one to post these kinds of things. I mostly just have Reddit to look at bugs and read about roommate drama. But I had an experience in the woods one night, almost 10 years ago, that got brought up recently, and I thought I'd share it here. I, 16 female at the time, snuck out of the house to go smoke weed in Lynn, Massachusetts woods at about 3 a.m. It's not a huge sector of woods, just a wee reservation smack dab in the middle of the Boston suburbs, surrounding the local reservoir. I got to the entrance of the trail, parked my car, and made my way to the campsites. About a 5-minute walk where there were fire pits available. It was a popular smoking area for teenagers, and I was one of them. I set up to draw by the fire I had made and began to roll a joint.
That's kind of brave of her. She's 16 and she just like goes into the woods by herself to smoke weed.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
You just be super paranoid.
Yeah, I mean, what happened is the worst. I mean, maybe not the worst scenario, but it's pretty bad.
At least it wasn't a man.
True. Skinwalker or man?
I'll take a skinwalker over a man. At least she was around to tell the story after.
Yeah. As I was rolling, I had heard something on 4 legs come up from behind me. I didn't sweat it that much because where I'm from, the worst it could be was probably a coyote. But then you could hear it transition into 2 legs and walk with a bipedal gait. That confused me. Then everything went fucking silent. No crickets, no birds, nothing. The only thing I could hear at that point was the crackling of the fire and my own breathing. Then I became really concerned, like something bad was about to happen. I call out, thinking maybe it was just a homeless dude working up the courage to ask me for some food or some money, since it was the city after all. I say hello and ask if there's anyone there. Silence still for about a minute. Everything's telling me to run, but I stayed because I thought if it was an animal trying to hunt me, I should stand my ground and make myself appear I'm not worth the risk. Then, whatever it was, it talked. It sounded almost like a parrot mimicking its owner's voice. "Can I bum a light?" it said. At first, I'm relieved because at least I know it's not an animal, but the way it spoke was truly uncanny. I said, "Sure, but you have to come over here so I can see you. You're giving me the creeps, dude." And then it asked me again and again. It asked 3 times. "Can I bum a light? Can I bum a light? Can I bum a light?" Then I was really freaked out, and I knew something was really wrong. I then told it to fuck off and find someone else to ask if he was going to be creepy about it.
She's so chill.
Yeah.
She's like, fuck off, dude.
Honestly, it worked because it says that the creature just ran off on all 4s after she told it to fuck off.
See, if you told the man to fuck off, you probably wouldn't. No.
Right? You could hear all 4 feet hitting the ground as it ran away. The crickets came back, the nightbirds started to chirp again, and the air even felt warmer. That feeling of dread washed over me, and I knew I had to fucking book it. I calmly packed all my stuff back up, put out the fire, and make my way back down to the trail to my car. I wanted to run, but part of me still believed it was just a dude trying to get creepy with a 16-year-old girl in the woods by herself. And if I played it cool and acted like I wasn't scared, maybe he'd back off.
Imagine if it was like a man, but he was just like running on all 4s.
That is so scary.
That would be even creepier than a skinwalker.
Yeah. My mother always taught me to make a scene in that scenario, and I was prepared to knife whatever came at me. Badass.
She's a slayer. Maybe it was Buffy.
Maybe. I also thought maybe if it was an animal, I wouldn't trigger its hunting instincts if I just walked instead of ran. But man, every hair on the back of my neck was standing up. That feeling of being watched is definitely real. I finally see my car about 200 feet away from me. I feel safe again, but I'm still on alert. I feel secure enough to look behind me, and sure enough, maybe 40 feet behind me is a male deer on its hind legs in the middle of the trail. I fucking freak.
On his hind legs?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, ah.
Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior? I just picture it standing awkwardly. Like deers have a big belly too. They're just like... I fucking freak. I've never heard of a skinwalker, never believed in anything like them at the time. Never even knew what they were. But I knew something about that image was seriously wrong, and I lost my composure and booked it to my car. I made it back no problem and drove off before I could even turn on my headlights. I mean, yeah, it's a deer standing on its hind legs. Obviously, it's not a real animal. Unless,
well, you don't know, it
sometimes
could be sick or something.
It's sick, so it just stands up. Oh, my belly hurts!
I mean, sometimes when animals are in distress, they act weird.
I picture the deer.
Maybe just had this breathed in some of her weed smoke.
Maybe. I pictured the deer from hunting season.
Oh, yeah. Or open.
Oh, it's called open season. Because
Open
when I looked up
season.
hunting season, it was some type of show. It was like, don't be afraid. To this day, I'm 24, about to turn 25. I've never been back to those woods, or really any woods for that matter. Yeah, I wouldn't either. I'm deathly afraid of nature now, which sucks. The very idea of spending the night out there makes me anxious, and I feel nauseous. It wasn't until years later when I fell into a YouTube rabbit hole in college that I stumbled on a video that described skinwalkers and alleged experiences people had with them in the woods that I truly began to understand what I may have encountered that night. This shit is real. I don't know if they're as aggressive or dangerous as people make them out to be in the stories I've seen online, because in my experience, it seemed pretty curious and backed off when I confronted it, still thinking it was just a creepy dude looking to score. But to this day, thinking about it makes me shudder, and I get an uneasy sensation in my stomach. See? She told it to back off, and it did.
Mm-hmm. It understands boundaries.
It stood at a respectable distance and just was like, I just wanted a light man, but it's cool. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on this. I'd love to have this debunked even. I love those woods, and I sort of wanted to just have been a weird dude. But I've heard some weird, very similar stories from the locals about those woods, and I don't know what to think. I mean, it definitely wasn't a person because she saw the deer, right? Standing on its hind legs.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it was the same thing that was talking to her.
It was the bear and the deer from the open season.
Yeah. But like, it sucks for her that now she has that experience. She probably doesn't want to go camping, even if it is like a group of people.
I know, like, I've never had anything like that happen to me, but I'm still creeped out to go into the woods alone, which sucks because I want to be able to do that.
Yeah, especially after doing this podcast.
Yeah.
So the next story is coming from r/no sleep, and it's called So You Guys Like Skinwalker Stories? I have a quick one for you. I posted on another thread, but it was so long I didn't want to hijack the comment section of a good story. I'm Diné Navajo, and boy have I heard a lot of stories growing up on the reservation. While I've never seen anything myself, which I am grateful for, I have benefited by being around the people who have. There's a different kind of evil that exists in the quiet high deserts and deep sandstone canyons of Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, even Colorado, in the southern Ute area. I can only describe it as an ancient evil. Now, there are helpful ceremonies, rituals, and traditions that are still practiced to this day. Hell, even a local hospital has an on-duty medicine man. But it seems to be a double-edged sword. What I mean is there is also black magic, which most Diné will not even acknowledge or speak of. They are very superstitious and are heavy with taboos. You will find this with the most First Nation people. From Alaska to Argentina is just something you don't do, in fear that it will get the attention of unwanted spirits or harmful beings. Skinwalkers are just a few stories that kept me up at night with the covers over my head. Here's a quick one for you guys. A Navajo tribal police officer was driving west on what used to be officially named Highway 666. It was highly snowing, maybe a quarter inch, which is a lot of snow for home. And he sees an old woman walking on the side of the road. How she got there or where she was going was not apparent because she was so far out in the middle of nowhere. He didn't see her right away, but as he passed, he noticed that she was dressed in traditional clothing. A shawl, dress, moccasins, and her hair in the traditional bun. Not too odd. Many elders still choose to dress traditionally. But why was she out in such cold weather this late at night? Hitchhiking, maybe? He passed her too quickly and now has to turn around. As he makes a U-turn, he notices she is nowhere to be seen. This is a fairly flat terrain, and he for sure seen an old woman walking. He pulls the squad car over and steps out with his flashlight. Confused, he manages to find the woman's footprints in the shallow snow. He follows the footprints until they suddenly turn into what look like dog footprints, leading away from the road in a hurry.
She's like, fuck, it's the police. Get the hell out of here.
He immediately jumps back into the squad car and meets up with another officer near his patrol. He's a little shaken up, but asks the other officer if he has ever seen anything like that. The officer tells him that he has. He also explains that sometimes it's an old woman, sometimes it's a very beautiful young girl, but always on the road and always in the snow, waiting for the right good Samaritan to let her into their car.
Maybe it's like a test. Like if you're a good person and you pick her up and drop her off where she asked you to drop her off, you're good. Nothing bad will happen to you. But if you're like a weirdo, then you're out of luck.
Maybe. That would be a good test.
Mm-hmm.
I still get nervous driving those wide open spaces at night. I keep my eyes strictly on the road and turn my music up high. I rarely pick up hitchhikers, but I never pick them up at night. I feel like you shouldn't pick up any hitchhikers, but...
I mean, that guy was a police officer, right?
But I think the person that's riding in is not. He's just telling
Yeah.
a story that he heard.
Yeah, I don't think you should. But at the same time, if you see an older woman just walking in the middle of nowhere, I feel like you wouldn't feel threatened.
Yeah.
If it was a man, you would probably be like, oh, no. Like if I was driving and I saw an
Yeah.
older woman just walking alone, I'd probably be like, oh, does she need help? I don't think I would immediately think that she was going to hurt me.
Yeah, could be anything. But it's creepy that when he came back, there was like her footprint stopped and then the
Yeah.
animal started.
It'd be cool to see a picture of that.
Mm-hmm. Someone commented, what if the old woman was mauled by wolves?
I don't think that would happen that fast.
Yeah. There's another comment. I have a story as well. When I was younger, my siblings and I would always spend a month or two in the summer at my grandma's house. She lived west of Bloomfield. My siblings and I would always make my grandpa's Hogan our little apartment for the summer. One night, we were playing Monopoly and we heard a knock on one of the sides of the Hogan. We didn't really think anything of it and kept playing. Soon we started hearing knocking and banging all over the place, even on the roof. We got so scared that we called my grandma. That night we slept in my grandma's house. Later on that year, my grandma told us that when she went over to Hogan that night, she saw things running away from the Hogan.
What's a Hogan?
It's like a Navajo traditional sacred dwelling.
Oh, okay.
There's another comment. I love Skinwalker stories. I really hope more people come out with them. They really hit home with me because I went to a wilderness therapy program in southern Utah. We would always beg to hear stories about Skinwalkers, and the staff would always refuse. I'm honestly not sure how the group even found out about them. Someone who worked there must have slipped up before any of our time, and the basics of the story must have been passed down, because that's all any of us knew. If we brought it up, the guides would tell us not to even talk about them, and they get particularly agitated about it at night. They would tell us all sorts of other weird stories that happen out there, but if we ever brought the topic to Skinwalkers, the whole demeanor would change. That's interesting because the OP commented on that comment. And they said, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that asking about Skinwalkers and not more important questions like everyday life, the culture, and pressing issues that are tangible and apparent is kind of rude. Well, it is rude if you want older Navajo people to take you seriously. Do not ask them about this stuff. They do not like talking about it, and they will think you are not taking our culture seriously. So they probably like, well, we have a lot of other cultural things we can offer. Like, we don't really want to talk about Skinwalkers.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So story number 5 comes from r/backwoodscreepy. I live in the heart of Appalachia, and this is easily the most terrifying story of one of my experiences. The story may be short or it may be drawn out. I'm recounting these events as I type, as it was honestly one of the most horrifying things I've ever experienced, and it brings me genuine stress to think about. This happened maybe 2 to 3 years ago. I live in southern West Virginia and I have for my entire life. The woods and mountains surround every direction you look, and nighttime is a darkness that you can never dream of unless experienced. I was with a friend, I'll call him Mark. Mark was at the house one evening doing the usual things, watching UFC and playing Xbox, etc. It was extremely late when we finally got bored and decided to go for a walk on a nearby trail to smoke a joint. This is not a particularly long trail, but it is very dense in the woods that surround it, and it's easy to get freaked out when thinking of your surroundings. We finally get to about halfway into the trail, about 30 minutes in, where we stop, pack our joint, and stand on the trail to chill and talk. The forest is very alive tonight. There are always noises in the woods, but there was a lot of animal activity for the time. At this point, it was probably past 1 a.m. This was strange and kind of eerie, but not alerting, as any sort of predatory animal in this area may cause a disturbance. We finish smoking and continue our walk when almost immediately the forest falls dead quiet. And as soon as the forest goes quiet, there's a voice. It almost sounds like a mocking humanoid voice, shaky and uncertain. Almost like an old children's toy, like the ones with the crackly speaker and robotic voice, if you know what I mean. This immediately sets us off. We bolt directly down the opposite length of the trail, but the sound does not gain distance. It doesn't sound closer per se, but no matter how far we ran down the trail, this eerie voice remained the same volume, going over and over with no quieting or stopping.
That's creepy.
Yeah. At this point, I'm convinced that we are in genuine danger, something I have felt very few times. Finally, after sprinting for who knows how long, we exit the trail, gasping for breath and almost at the verge of tears of how frightening this was. We begin to exit the trail, and about 5 minutes from the exit, there's a bone-shaking, heart-stopping, murderous scream from directly behind us. I know what a mountain lion sounds like. This was not an animal. This was not someone playing or watching a movie. This scream sent birds flying from nests and made my heart drop into my stomach. It was the most genuine, depraved, and violent scream that I've ever heard. This is a true story, and I have only told to maybe 3 people, all of whom seem to brush it off as false. I've never been a person to push the existence of the paranormal or spiritual, but I genuinely believe I encountered something inhuman in those woods.
Probably. It's Appalachia.
True.
What do you expect?
What do you think it was? Skinwalker?
Or doppelganger? Doppelganger?
Doppelganger just sounds funny. There is an edit, so we get some extra info, I guess. I know we'll receive questions such as what the voice was possibly saying or to explain the area and what happened after. I genuinely cannot remember what the voice was saying, if anything intelligible. I don't know if I could understand it then, and I certainly can't recall understanding it after several years of blocking it out of my memory. All that I recall is that it was fluctuating voice and pitch, shaking, almost just joining sounds together. After running from the scream at the end of the trail, we ran to the car, which was only about 5 more minutes from the trail, so we got there relatively fast from sprinting.
Creepy.
What do you think the voice was saying?
I love you. It sounded like a toy. I love you.
I love you.
What do you think it said? Can I bum a light?
It sounds
'Cause
like
they also-
skinwalkers are attracted to weed.
Yeah, because they were also like trying to smoke a joint, so.
Yeah, I just picture them running away and the thing's like,
I just want your weed.
just give me your weed. Come on, gimme.
You don't get weed over here. What's the Appalachia rules again?
Don't smoke weed?
No, it's like if you hear it, no, you didn't.
Someone said that crows can mock human voice very well.
I know, that's kind of what I think, like in a
And
lot
they do
of
sound
stories.
creepy.
Like, I do believe that there are like supernatural things that exist, but I also do think like some of the encounters that people have could be just like noises from animals as well.
What about the scream? Because they also heard a scream.
Have you ever heard, I guess you were with us, but remember one time when we went to BC, like the Okanagan Lake? We were camping, but we went for like a walk in the wooded area, and there was like a tiny like baby deer, and it was like screaming. It sounded kind of like a baby screaming.
I don't know. I mean, this person said that it wasn't an animal. Like, they know what an animal sounds like because they live in the area.
True, I guess.
I don't know. Sounds like a skinwalker or wendigo. So this last story is coming from r/paranormal encounters, and it's called I Heard My Own Voice Coming from the Woods One Day, and Now I Think Some Creature is Taunting Me. I don't know if this has something to do with paranormality, but I will post it here regardless. So a little bit of context. I live in a residential kind of area with a big forest part, and my route when walking my dog goes through the foresty area. I usually walk my dog around 5 to 6 p.m. during summertime, and around 3 to 4 p.m. during wintertime due to the sun going down earlier. So a couple of days back on Monday, I forgot to walk the dog, and naturally I had to walk him after I came back from the gym. Mind that I leave the gym around 6 p.m. And when I usually come back home, it's pretty late, around 7 to 8 p.m. And during wintertime, it's pretty dark then. So that means I had to walk my dog during the night. So I arrive home, put on my dog's leash, and leave. After that, the dog stopped a few times to sniff some plants, etc. After my dog was done sniffing, we started going further onto the route into the forest part, which at the time was pitch black. After some time, I noticed that my dog was stuck like glue beside my leg while going into the forest. I got a little shaken up when I saw him doing that because usually he's very playful and excited to go for walks.
He was like, don't go there, don't go there.
Always listen to the dog. At the moment, I thought that my dog was scared of the dark because I never take him out on walks during nighttime. Oh boy, was I wrong. So we arrived in the forest part and started walking through it. At the time, nothing weird or out of the ordinary happened. We went a little further into the woods past a few abandoned houses while walking. Meanwhile, my dog stopped to sniff some grass and I went a little bit further on. Then I noticed my dog was left behind, so I called out to him. Coco, let's go, we need to go. Then he came to me. After I turned my back, I hear the worst sound that you could ever hear while in a forest next to abandoned houses. When I turned my back, I heard my own voice saying the same words in the same tone, in the same way that I said them a couple of seconds ago. Don't make me piss my pants. At that moment, I picked up my dog subconsciously and made a run for it, going past yet another abandoned house. Mine at the forest part is a big loop. Now, I know that it wasn't my own echo because I heard it already, and what I heard was a couple of seconds later, after like 5 to 7 seconds, and the voice had no echo, at least how I heard it. I arrived home all shaken up, I let my dog loose and sat on the couch. After what felt like centuries, but had been 20 minutes, my mother arrived home, so I instinctively got to her to tell what I witnessed. She sat me down and told me a story of what she saw one day while also walking the dog. She told me that one day while walking Coco, she was also in the forest, where I witnessed that. She further told me that she saw a weird dog. She said that the dog was completely out of place and had no reason to be at the place where he was. She said it looked weird. She didn't mean he looked weird like there was something wrong with him. She told me he just looked weird. Further, I connect her experience in the dog with the uncanny valley because what she told me was literally just the uncanny valley. And if you don't know what the uncanny valley is, think of it as everything is normal, but at the same time, everything is wrong. So now after I heard what she said, I connected my incident with a Skinwalker because I saw another Skinwalker story on Reddit. I don't know if it was 100% true, but I think it was, where a dude heard a Skinwalker mimic his voice in calling for his dog.
Do you think the dog would recognize that it's not the owner calling?
Probably. I mean, if the owner's next to the dog would probably be like, oh, what the fuck?
I'm just imagining like Scooby-Doo.
That would scare me though, because I'd be like, don't go over there.
Yeah, I would fucking move. Because you have to walk your dog. Where are you going to go? I guess you don't have to go to the woods. Because you said it's a residential area. So you can probably just go in the neighborhood. Like you probably don't have to go into the forest area. Did he say he like picked up his dog?
Probably a small dog.
I thought he said it was a German Shepherd at the beginning, or no? Did I just imagine that?
I think you imagine.
I'm just imagining him picking up like a giant dog like the Scooby-Doo.
Now after all that, I shower and go to bed. Then Tuesday, nothing out of the ordinary happened. But around 11:30 p.m., I hear weird sounds coming from outside my window. I live in a house, not an apartment, and my room is on the ground floor. When I woke up a bit later, I heard the sound better. It was footsteps. At that moment, I faked sleeping and out of fear fell asleep. After all that, I woke up Wednesday morning and told my mom what I heard last night. My mother told me that we will burn incense in the house. I felt relieved, but my mother went to work, and when she came back around 7 p.m., she forgot all about the incense stuff. Burn incense yourself. Around 6:40 p.m., I go on a walk with my dog because I yet again forgot to walk him. Before I left, I called my mom to see how she was doing. Then I focused on the call and let my dog control the route. He memorized it and knows where to go. My dog wasn't scared like last time, and because I didn't pay attention, I didn't notice where he was dragging me. When I finally noticed where I was, it was already too late. My dog brought me to the forest loop, but not deep, like just at the entrance. At the entrance, after like 30 meters, there is a light post. Normally it works, but at that moment, it surprisingly didn't. So it was me alone in the darkness with my dog and then my iPhone flashlight, which is weak as fuck. My dog stops to eat some grass, and I don't allow him because one time a grass fiber got stuck in his throat and he kept coughing for like 3 days. Then I call for my dog. Coco, no, let's go, you're not allowed. After 2 to 3 seconds, I hear, Coco, let's go. Not exactly what I said, but kind of what I said the first time. I was in a call with my mother at the time, thankfully. I start running with my dog past the abandoned house, where my mom saw the weird dog. Just picture, like you said, Scooby-Doo, like Shaggy carrying.
Yeah.
Then after like 5 minutes of running, I arrive home, and after 10 minutes, my mother came home and I discussed everything with her. Nothing really special to be said. After all that, I went to sleep. Yesterday, during the day, nothing weird happened, until guess how late? That's right, 11:30, exactly how late I heard the footsteps Tuesday. So I finish showering and go to my room. I see my cat looking out the window into nothing, and it couldn't have been a bird or a person because we have a closed yard, and right face to face with my window, there's a big metal wall. So I find it really weird for my cat to do that because normally my cat doesn't look out of windows. Then I closed the window and went to sleep. Today, Friday, I discussed everything with my mother and finally cleansed the house with incense. I'm just getting ready for bed and decided to spend like half an hour to write this. If you read this far, keep in mind, all of what I said here is true, and I swear in my soul that it is.
I love how he was like, usually my cat doesn't look out of the window. Like all cats look out the windows usually.
I remember one time my cat was looking at the ceiling like really intensely, and it freaked me out because I was like, what is up there? Like, I don't know.
What are
But
you
then-
staring at?
Yeah, I was so freaked out. But then when I walked up and looked, there was a moth or something on the ceiling. So I was like, okay, it's not a ghost.
Not this time.
I mean, it is creepy that it was imitating his voice.
Mm-hmm.
I would not go back into those woods. That's
Yeah.
for damn sure.
Also, like you said, like the dog brought him there, but like how would he not notice where he's going?
Probably on his phone or something.
True. I would just take a different route next time and go for a walk. Cause
I'd be
like,
freaked out because it's like they heard footsteps outside their window.
yeah, it's almost like that creature's like, you gave me attention, now I'm gonna follow you.
I like your dog. Can I have your dog? Yeah, I'd want to move after that. I'd be like, I'm not safe.
Using incense in the house, I feel like would help, but it still wouldn't prevent the creature to exist in the forest.
Yeah, I could. I mean, maybe wearing some protective.
Amulets or something
Amulets,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like if in Navajo culture, is there anything that you can do to protect yourself?
That's a good question.
I guess like when I was mentioning the Skinwalkers, it talked about like if you recognize who the person is, it could harm them. Like if you know, like if you name the person that turns into
How are you
the
supposed
animal.
to know that?
I mean, if you're in the same community, because they said a lot of the times the Skinwalkers are people from your community that come and like almost like prey on their own people.
Which-
Obviously, we don't know 100% if it is a Skinwalker or something else. There's all kinds of, maybe it's Leshy.
Maybe.
Wear your shirt inside out. I don't know why that, like, something that makes them confused.
I think it just
Where
makes
they're like,
you
this
like.
fellow, there's something off about this fellow. I'm not gonna play around with him.
I heard they like protects you from their influence. So there is a comment that says, "That's the thing here in Appalachia. Your own voice or the voice of a loved one, don't go to it." And then someone else says, "Here in Australia, we have creatures that mimic things." And then someone else replies and says, "These things in Australia are known as mimes. Everybody hates them because they all mimic the same damn invisible wall."
How do you
I
make
think
them
that's
humble?
like.
Oh. Are they just like,
I think they're
touch-
trolling.
wow. I was like, wait, Australia also has one of those? There are also kind of unsettling. I kind of hate clowns in general because there are like a variation of a clown, right? A mime.
Kind of, yeah.
But I just like the fact that they're so silent and they're always kind of make fun of people.
It makes me
I don't
think of
like them.
Terrifier.
Mm.
And then there's a comment that says, "If you hear your own voice coming from the woods, no, you didn't." As in, just mind your own business. Keep walking. Don't acknowledge it.
Yeah. I think also they learn the fact that if you ignore them, they most likely will leave you alone. Like if you just don't give them any type of energy that they can feed off, then they're like, well, but again, it's like if I heard something, I would just leave. I think that's kind of what's recommended. Like, don't follow and try to investigate what happens. But also, like, what if it is someone dying or getting attacked by an animal? Like, are you supposed to just not help them?
Yep.
Oh, also whistling at night is prohibited in Appalachia.
I heard that too.
I feel like a lot of indigenous cultures, they also say that. Like, don't whistle.
That's
the
also,
woods.
I think it's also part of other cultures too, like in Slavic. It's like one of the superstitions is don't whistle in your house.
You're like, whistle your money away or something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. It's like
But-
bad luck.
Yeah, that one we grew up with. Like, definitely, we're not allowed to whistle inside our house. And we never had money. I feel like the whole whistle situation could come from back in the day when people would hunt in the woods. And there's a lot of, you know, animals that could potentially attack you in the woods. Maybe that's also a rule for a reason to kind of like not get attacked by animals or another tribe, giving away your location in a way. Did you see that comment? It's like, I was out smoking some giga leaf late on night a few years ago and took a particularly potent puff, which set me to coughing. After catching my breath, I said, phew, oh shit. And about 10 seconds later, from the tree line, I live basically in the forest mountain in Montana, I hear some World War II microphone level of static. I don't know how else to describe it, but then I hear my own voice, heavily distorted, saying, phew, oh shit. Needless to say, I took a couple more rips, finishing the bowl, blew the smoke into the direction of the woods, loudly said, fuck off, Skinwalker, and went inside.
Oh my god.
Now I would blame the giggle leaf for me hearing the voice, but I had my screen door open and my cat was sitting there waiting for me to come in, and when the distorted voice spoke, he stood up suddenly, and so did all the fur on his body before he ran off.
Giggle leaf makes me think of something that's smoke in the Shire. So skinwalkers are attracted to weed is what I'm learning.
Skinwalkers are potheads.
Yeah. That's all they want. They just want your weed.
Someone said in the comments, you have a cat, you're fine. Some people say it could be an echo, but I don't know. I feel like you'd be able to tell the
No.
difference.
Yeah.
Like, everyone kind of knows what it sounds like. Someone said, this is why I don't live near the woods.
It feels peaceful until it's nighttime, and then it's
Mhm.
like, shut your doors, close your curtains, don't listen to the voices.
So someone said, and that's why the old Appalachian people say, don't go wandering in the woods. The way I learned from experience is if something feels off, it is. If you feel like you're being watched, you are. We as humans have innate ability to feel when something is looking at us. Sage, 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 the place, and around your land. Put salt on the doors and windows, and please be safe. That's a good suggestion. I mean, that's kind of what I would probably recommend as a practitioner, but I don't know too much about skinwalkers specifically, like what they're scared of, but any negative entity could potentially be scared of salt and sage, and I guess you creating a boundary. So this is the end of our 9th episode. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for listening. Remember to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments which story you like the best and what topics you'd like us to cover next. If you want to check out the final art for today's episode, go to our Instagram at Yaga's Crib. You can also follow us on TikTok at baba.yagas.crib. And see you next time if you find your way back.